Board.
Progress.
We're recording, and now I'm gonna start with something light, something funny, because I don't know if any of you watch Modern Family, but when I think of like old school realtors, Phil Dunphy is like the first person I think about. And in Modern Family, he's a successful realtor, and he's a spokesperson for the National Association of Realtors. He does commercials. So I just saw this, and when I think of old school, realtors and the style of old school marketing, I think of him. So we're gonna play this little clip.
Hello from the other side of the television screen. It's me, Phil Dunphy, aka Phil the Thrill, aka what? Vitamin P, aka, oh yeah, the face of the National Association of Realtors' new ad campaign. I know, this is an important job, and you could have given it to anyone. You could have given it to people love talking animals, but you didn't. You gave it to me, a realtor, and I promise I am not going to let you down. I am going to shout our message from the mountaintops. A realtor provides a competitive advantage. Okay, I'm not talking about an actual mountain. I'm talking about television. I'm talking about radio. I'm talking about a Houdini escape trick performed on top of a Las Vegas skyscraper. Okay. Legal shot that one down. But we're doing everything else. So get excited and get realtor. And don't forget to stop by my booth and snap a photo with the world's 9th most handsome guy named Phil, who is
You get the gist of it. He's an old school kind of realtor, and I'm going to share this so that when people are talking, you can know who's talking. It's just easy. Phil Dunphy is just an old school realtor. And in the show, he does a lot of like, you'll see him throw events with balloons and the pens, and that's kind of like old school marketing. So all of these old school marketing tactics work. They work because like people like Jen Hamilton. She's an old school realtor. She went from her mom. Fizzy Kelly's old school realtors. They went from their parents. I went from my parents. My parents are old school realtors. They're doing things like community outreach. They're doing things like mailers, pens. Like I remember my parents used to order a bunch of pens and give them to me and all my siblings and be like, take all of these and give them to everybody, because there's just kind of brand awareness. But I'm going to write down some topics here that. And I want to show you like how to apply it. So I'm going to pick on Amy because she's here, So we have mailers, open houses, client events, community outreach, sponsorship, public speaking, don't mind me, merch. Hopefully you guys can all see that. So I'm going to talk about these topics one by one. So mailers is an old school marketing tactic that new agents used to. If you have the hard part about this is that it costs money. So if you're in a situation where you're jumping in with real estate with both feet, you have no other income, and you don't want to dip into your savings, I understand that. But I also, again, like to position you guys that when you become a realtor, you are a business owner. And as part of that, you have to invest in your business. You don't necessarily have to do it this way, because if you're doing mailers correctly, it's going to cost you some money. So when I say mailers, I'm not saying, oh, hey, I'm a realtor. This is just like surprise. We're writing and sending these things out that have no strategy, no plan whatsoever. That is what a lot of people think when they think mailers. They think, oh, I'm just going to send it to like this neighborhood one time. And that's just a waste of your money. When you're doing mailers, they need to be strategized. So a way that people do this is with circle prospecting. So circle prospecting is finding an area, targeting it, and mailing all around consistently. You're not hitting them with one postcard. You're hitting them with a few items of value. Maybe you have a newsletter that you send out, and you specifically target that area for a little bit. So some people will do this in the way of farming if they just want to pick up business in that area. The best way to do it is to target a listing. So if you're hosting an open house, just like I had Amy hosted an open house on Sunday, and she picked up a potential lead. She did that by putting herself out there. So if you wanted to take it to the next level, you did door knock ahead of time, right? Yep. That's another one I forgot about. Door knocking. But if you're in the coaching program, chances are I've told you about door knocking. So if you follow up the door knocking with a strategic mailing plan, they just saw your face maybe, and if they didn't see your face, they got a door knocker bag on their doorknob, if you're doing it right. And so if you're consistently hitting them with maybe over a 4-week period with mail, or maybe just quarterly, maybe you send them something 4 times a year, and you send everyone on that street, or maybe everybody within that, 5-mile square radius, depending on the budget you're working with. I would say hit a smaller area because that's gonna cost you less. That would be kind of the correct way to do a mailer. Farming an area essentially is what I'm talking about. Circle prospecting to me, like where you guys are new agents, when you're hosting open houses, if you're going to invest into your business, host an open house and then do that. Or if you have a mentor that you're working with and they have a listing and they're okay with you targeting that area, you do that as well. It is important if you're covering the open house that you ask ahead of time. Like Amy went and covered an open house for Jen Hamilton, and she asked, hey, do you mind if I do that? She said, absolutely no problem. Realistically, Jen Hamilton's got enough of the market share where she's really not concerned. But does anybody have any questions about mailers, conversations? I don't want to talk at you guys. Is there any confusion, anything like that? I wanted to pull up, but it's on my iPad. I will after show you guys an example of what I do. So I'll just draw it. So I normally do a little postcard, like if I have a listing. Initially, when it's going out and I'm circle prospecting the area, I'm going to pick 5 streets around the location, and I'm going to put a thing out that says, do you want to pick your neighbor? I don't know why I feel the need to write this all out. So it's, do you want to pick your neighbor? I put a picture of the home. I do a little explanation. You don't want to be spending a ton of time with the content on here because like we just had a top agent panel and Jen Hamilton who built her business around using mailers and circle prospecting and community outreach. She even says you have to put something that they can read from the time they grab it from their mailbox and they throw it in the trash. No one's holding on to your mailer, no one's posting it on the fridge unless it's like your mom or your aunt, your sister, and they're just happy that you're doing real estate. No one else is doing that. So it has to be short and to the point, and you want it to be, adding some sort of value. For me, if it's a certain area that I know is like kind of, I use the word towny and I really have to stop using it, but there are certain areas like I live in the Methuen, or like for instance, my husband owns a business in Revere, lives in Saugus. The whole North Shore, people will live with their parents until they can buy like the house next door or a house across the street. They're just all tight knit, really tight community. So this is the kind of this is where I'm going to use this at because I know, okay, great. The last time I used this was on a lakefront property. People all have vacation homes. They obviously have friends that are in line to get into that community. So I sent that out. It's just like, ooh, what do you mean you want to pick my neighbor? And I might follow this up to get listing leads with oh, by the way, I'm going to be having a neighbors only open house. And what that is basically you're inviting a bunch of people who have an interest in the sale of this property because it's going to become a comp on their own property. Take a look and see if this looks like your house. Because if it does, and you're educating them correctly, which is that's what you're getting an opportunity to do. When you discuss this, maybe add a little blurb about, this comp will affect the value of your home. Like that could be a mailer in itself. You want to have the neighbors only open house. You're in front of a room full of people that own property. Like what could be better? And it stops the nosy neighbor from interrupting your otherwise, dope open house. If you have there's nothing worse than when you have an open house that's going wonderfully and a neighbor comes in and is like, they illegally cut down those trees over there. Like that's like the worst. So like just host the neighbors only open house. It will help deter that. And you're having to put less fires out in the middle of an open house. And again, it's getting you in front of people. So that would be my advice on mailers. That's just some things that you could do. I want to cover a bunch. So if you guys have any questions about, anything regarding each topic, definitely reach out to me. And if you feel like, oh, I need to learn more about this, or I feel like I don't understand it, we could do another class or we could do a group coaching session because I think most of the people on this call are in group coaching. So circle prospecting is another one, and you can get creative. I'm like a creative person, and I really truly look at real estate as a creative job. I think that it's kind of one of those things that you get to be the head of your marketing. You get to do all the stuff. You don't want to get so sucked into it that if you're wasting your time doing that, but you can be creative with real estate. And if you guys need examples of mailers, I can forward you what I've used. You can use the Designs app in the design section in Command. There's honestly a ton of really great stuff, and if you don't you just fill in all the information, it's like ready to go. Canva is another one that I use when I'm trying to get. If I'll look in designs, if I don't see anything that I like, I use Canva. Canva allows you to get, in my opinion, a little bit more creative, but I'm sure that designs will get there as we improve. So open houses, if you've been taking MREA, you know that listing should be a part of your core business. And part of the benefit of having listings is that you get to have open houses. Listings in itself are marketing. You get a sign on the ground, you get to reach out to everyone in the community and say, hey, I'm selling this house, and people are going to talk to you. If they're coming to me, if you're doing it correctly and you have a listing and you door knock, mail ahead of time, let them know, hey, I'm having an open house, having a neighbors only open house, I'm gonna have mimosas or I'm gonna have cookies, whatever. Get them in the door because an open house is an opportunity to get more listings. And that's why listings should be at the top of your priority list. I get in the beginning, buyers are easier to get in general, but they're easier to get in general, but you really want to be focusing your time on listings. And it is intimidating, but it's the way that you're going to get the most business. So open houses give you an opportunity to do, you have a reason to talk to them. It also helps with a lot of people don't like picking up the phone and calling because they call it like a cold call. And I used to say I hate cold calling, but then I talked to my coach about it because I have a coach and she was like, that's horrible terminology. And she's right, because it's really not a cold call if you have a reason to be calling. So if I'm calling you, if I maybe have access to Volcan 7 or we have the cold directory where you can get some of the information, I might call ahead the 5 streets that are surrounding my open house. And then I'm having a voice-to-voice conversation and they're hearing from me and I'm talking to them. Again, this takes time, and this is why leads get time blocking your lead gen is important, because how long do you think it takes you to call 5 streets? That's a lot of houses, depending on the area. And again, sometimes you have to dig for that information. It's not abnormal. You're not the only one when you're trying to cold call that's like, oh man, this isn't the right number. I'm going to dig a little more. It takes time. And that's why you want to be following it up with the mailers. This is all old school. This is how any realtor in here has made it using these, because new school marketing is new. When we talk tomorrow, we're talking about paying for Facebook ads, analytics, SEOs. Like these are all things that are like brand new. So any successful realtor that has been in the game for longer than 10 years did it by doing this. So I don't want anyone to be dogging it and going, well, I'm not doing this, it's old school. It's literally the basis of your business. And when you're doing both, that's when you're going to become a mega agent. That's when you're going to become a millionaire real estate agent. It's not out of the realm of possibility at all. So open houses are an opportunity. And don't sleep on open house. And you can absolutely be putting yourself out there. We have an agent group on Facebook, part of New School Marketing. We have an agent group on Facebook. Just say, hey, how are you? I just joined, Keller Williams. I just joined the office. Trying to put myself out there more. If anybody has any open houses, here's my information. I would love an opportunity to cover for you. Because I can tell you, I probably get like 4 calls a week asking for open house coverage, either for me or somebody in the coaching program. People need it. Because people like me, if I have a listing, it's very hard for me to accommodate an open house on a weekend. My husband works on the weekends. I have a 2-year-old and, it's tough. So I need it. I can guarantee you guys will be benefiting from my houses because I really need coverage for open houses. This is where I personally really love is client events. It costs money. So this is something that I might start after you get a closing. Do all of your open houses, do all of your mailers. And then when you get a closing, invest in a client event. Because when people know you when you first get into real estate, they're not going to take you seriously. I'm going to tell you that right now. And that's shame on them. But you have to reintroduce yourself as the realtor. Like, I'm not Sarah that used to work in payroll. I'm not Sarah, your friend from college. I'm Sarah, I'm a realtor. How are you? And I'm doing that by putting myself out there. These are also all opportunities to follow up with a mailing. If I have a client event, I can mail. For instance, I have an attorney's office. I've talked about it before. I'm throwing a big Christmas event this year. It's a client event. That's what that is. I'm inviting all of my past clients, all the vendors I've ever worked with. Anybody in this office is more than welcome to come. And I'm going to be following up with mailing, plus some of the new school marketing. And that's just putting myself out there. So luckily enough, I've been doing this, for 8 years. And I think that if I established this earlier, I would be much farther ahead. So if you don't, just any opportunity to put yourself out there is ideal. So an example of a client event, like my brother and my sister-in-law are both realtors. They just did an apple picking. They just paid for a few bags of apples, invited their clients, had a photographer come and have little goodies, and they all just apple picked. That was like the cute little event. They've also done, like, you can do it as large or small as you want. I did a paint night. So I invited everybody for a paint night. I made a big deal out of it. It was great. This is also where you have to get used to being disappointed in real estate. Not disappointed, but you have to be used to rejection. When you first get into this, again, people are going to doubt you. And so they might not show up to your client event. But I can tell you, if I don't think I'm going to have a good outcome at my client event, I'm calling in every family member, every friend. You're doing me a favor and you come to this event. Because at minimum, I'm getting pictures. And they don't know you're my cousin. They don't know I've known you since second grade. You're coming. Because it's never a waste. It's never a waste. Anytime, even if it is like you're not getting the things that you wanted out of it, you have to be constantly shifting your perspective, because you'll get easily disappointed if you're just like, oh, my paint sucked. What is that gonna do for you? Don't stay in your negativity. Client nights are a big one. I do my Christmas party. I did a paint night. Joey and Rosie do apple picking. You can bring it on, like they also did Candy Lake, which you wouldn't think, but again, you own your own business. How many people here have been to one of those events if you've worked for a company and they put on an outing at Candy Lake? You're no different. You are absolutely no different. And yes, it costs money. Like I also last year I pair up with other businesses. This isn't a cost that you have to take on solely by yourself. If you pair up with a lender and say, hey, I want to do a client event, but could you help me take on some of that cost? They're going to be more than happy to do it, because they're doing the same thing you're doing. They're, trying to get business. And you're in the same industry, you should rely on each other. So I did last year, I have a friend who's a photographer, and I love Christmas time. I'm a Christmas freak. And I wanted to get some awareness. So this is kind of me marrying the two together. I ran a client event and I pushed it excessively through my social media. And I did a contest. I said, if you invite, at each tagged person that doesn't follow my page in this comment section is an entry to win a Christmas family photo shoot. I'm raffling off 6. You need to follow my page. You need to share my page on Facebook and Instagram, and you need to tag as however many tags you get is a new entry. Let me tell you, I probably got like 200 new followers, and that's all organic followers. It's not a paid thing. It was just as simple as running a contest. Another, I won't talk. I'll bet still another later. But basically, do client events, followed up with mailing, and tomorrow we'll learn more about the new school marketing, where you can understand how you can strategically do it to get more business out of your client events. So I like to talk about Ron Carpenito, because community outreach is huge in real estate. Ron is heavily involved, and he's also big into the Buffini program. He's currently running it right now. Buffini is all about community outreach, all about client events. Another kind of old school marketing tactic, which I guess you could call in part community outreach, that's a Buffini thing, is items of value in the form of pop buys. So again, this is kind of following up what Ron's teaching now on Mondays, but pop buys are as simple as you take like a little, it's Halloween time. You can get some of those little pumpkins and you stop by. I like to do stuff that's like, like I'll do leaf bags. It's everyone's about to be raking and putting all their leaves out. I like to go by my top clients. So you should be categorizing your clients as A+, A, B, C, D. Your A clients are the ones that are absolutely going to be referring you business. So I might hit all of my A clients with a pumpkin. At Thanksgiving, I'm doing pies. At Christmas time, I'm going to do that's usually when I'll throw an event, is Christmas time. But these are all forms of community outreach, but Ron is specifically involved with this town. So if you get involved with where you live or where you want your business to be, that is like the best way to go about it. You'll notice that like Jen Hamilton's heavily involved in the city of Methuen school sports. Her kids all went, and Central Catholic. Like if you have kids, that's a school community you could be involved in. If you want to sponsor community outreach and sponsoring, you could sponsor a sports team. You might want to just decide to coach your kids soccer. Like I know it sounds hard, but like it's a benefit though. I want to be involved. Maybe I'll coach Yano's soccer team. I get to spend time with my son, and he gets this awesome memory of me being his coach. And I also get the benefit of letting everybody know I'm sponsoring all these jerseys because I'm a realtor and please use me. And just people that I wouldn't have otherwise been in touch with. So community outreach is a good one. Ron's really good at it. Ron also owns, which I think is literally brilliant. He owns a DJ. He does DJing, wedding DJing and events. What do people do after they get married? They buy a house. So it's like things like this, you can be creative. Like what's better? Hey, I'm your DJ. I just helped you have a great time. Who loves, if you're a good DJ, you love your DJ at the end of the day. I wanted to I was like kissing him, like, thank you so much. This is so fun. Like, that is genius. That is genius. And he's also involved within a city like this. I'm trying to think of the name of it. Like, for instance, Methuen had Methuen Day on Saturday. I could have easily taken advantage of that. And I'm like, hey, I'm a local realtor. I'm sure Jen was doing something. Any like realtor that's out there, get involved, do that, you know? My dad is from Methuen and he sponsors the Methuen High Ice Rink. So the Fulford group is all over the Methuen High Ice Rink. So when parents are there watching their kids, it's the first thing that's there. And as part of that sponsorship, business is business. And they know if you're gonna scratch my back, I'm gonna scratch yours. Because my dad sponsors the Methuen High Hockey Rink, he gets a full day of free open ice. So that's a really nice way to run a free client event. It's not gonna cost you a thing. What are you gonna bring 2 boxes of Joe? Like, all right, I'll lose $25 and then I just got offered free ice skating for every good client I have. Again, I kind of touched on sponsorship already as well. You can sponsor a team, you can do donations on behalf of your business, and it is giving back to the community. You know, you are giving back to the community. I feel really good about it when I do it. You know, if I can help people in any way, like part of my client event is obviously to reach out to people, but I love Christmas time because it's like the most beautiful time of the year. Everyone wants to help somebody. So part of our client event is that we are all of the money that we make outside of, because we might charge like a fee at the door, we're gonna have a silent auction. All of that money is going towards the Miracle Network, which is helping families that are affected by HIV and AIDS. Like, how awesome is that? Like, it makes me feel great. My sister-in-law does a wonderful job. She works with St. Anne's Homes, and she reaches out to all of her clients at Christmas time, says, do you want to sponsor a child? People are more than happy to do it, and they keep her in mind. They're in contact with her throughout the whole holiday season. And what are you doing throughout the holiday season? You're going to Christmas parties. You're going to talk to people. And when people are like, oh, you know what, this spring I'm thinking about selling my house, Rosie's going to be the first person they think of because they've been talking to her for a month about the kid that they're sponsoring and coordinating her toy pickup. And then, you know, she makes it, oh, today's the toy drop off. She makes a big deal out of it. Come here, we're going to give you a little goodie bag. Thank you so much for supporting the St. Anne's Home. And she is giving back to the community, and she's also got to pay her bills. So it's working out for her. And she's doing a really good thing. So these are all ways, and again, it costs nothing to do that. It costs nothing for Rosie. It costs only what she wants to invest into her business. But if she didn't want to have the little client, the little you know, toy drop-off event, what's it costing her to go to St. Anne's Home? Hey, can I have a list of kids we could sponsor? Hey, do you want to do this? She puts it on social media. We're living in a time where, yeah, back in the day, we would have to have mailed that out or taken the time to go and drive by, which isn't a bad idea if you want to drive by, but people think it's weird now because of social media. It's like, why didn't you send me a message? But it would cost her nothing if she chose to. And it's absolutely, she will get, if she gets one transaction out of it, what she make like $5,000 for helping give Christmas toys to an orphanage. Like, yeah, that's okay. I'll do that. And it could cost her nothing if she chose to. She knows strategically, if I invest in my business, I'm going to get more out of this. So she does, but where you're a new agent, if you don't have the funds or the resources to do that, it doesn't really matter. You don't need to spend money. There's plenty of free things you can do. Public speaking. So this is not for everybody, and this might be more for like if you become more established, like for instance, me doing this, me coaching. I love coaching. I genuinely want everyone to kill it. I'm of the philosophy of there is enough success for everybody. I'm not competing with anybody. I'm only competing with myself because there's a version of me that doesn't want to do any of this. And every day I punch her in the face. So I now, as part of this coaching program, every time I make a video about, hey, I'm teaching other agents how to do real estate, that gains me credibility as an agent for my clients. They're like, oh, well, if Sarah's good enough that her office is entrusting her to teach other agents, then I'll let her sell my house. And it's also an opportunity. So I've recently reached out to my college. So I was, again, these are things that I've employed since being at Keller Williams, and it's taken me really far, really fast. Coupled with the skill set my parents gave me, and they did do some of this without, oh, it's Frank. Hi, Frank. They did do this kind of without the system in place, at least I think the way that I picked it up. I did some of this without realizing what I was doing. I just thought, this is what realtors do, but I reached out to my college, which I hadn't really been in touch with in a while. And because of the circumstances we're living in with COVID, nobody wants to work 9 to 5 anymore. I think if anything has happened in 2020, it has put into perspective what we absolutely do not want to do anymore. Because we were able to, honestly, there's a silver lining in everything. And I really do think that it gave us time to sit with ourselves. The world stopped. And we go 1,000 miles an hour every day. We're kind of already back to it. At least I feel that way. So I knew that I needed to mend some relationships. So when I left my college, I didn't really keep in touch with them, and I thought, okay, I'm just going to reach back out. I reached back out. I was looking for an intern, to be honest. I started working in leadership. We could definitely benefit from an intern because we have some administrative work that could be helpful for an intern. When I reached out to them, they said, oh, Sarah, people don't want to work 9 to 5 anymore. That's where I went. See, this is the ADHD that I'm always talking about. But they said, do you mind coming in and teaching a class about what it's like to not work a 9 to 5? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that. No problem. Not only am I getting in touch with my professors who all probably own property, I'm in touch with a room full of people who are about to graduate college, have a gainful career, and eventually buy a home. And then I get the benefit of maybe they want to do real estate. I bring them to Keller Williams and I get a piece of the profit share. There's only benefits, and it's all, and I'm genuine in my approach that I wish I found real estate sooner. I didn't find real estate. I've had 5 careers. My degree is in fashion merchandising with business management. I started in PR. I moved over to finance. I jumped into a fashion rule where I was in the fashion industry. And then I moved over to payroll because I was like, I don't know what I want to do. And it's just a nice little comfortable place. I can just with my eyes closed. And then I landed in real estate. And something in me just switched. So I think that's what my genuine approach is when I go to talk to my college. I wish I found this sooner. I always felt like, oh, I'm not going to be able to use my degree if I get a real estate license because I just worked for 4 years. I could have just done this when I was 18. Because obviously, as everyone knows, my parents are realtors, so I resisted it for a long time. But I like the opportunity to speak about my experience because I do think it benefits others. And I truly think that any experience that you have, that you learn from, you should share it. And it will benefit you in your business. Merch is a simple one. So old school realtors, again, like the pens, you'll see people with sweatshirts. My parents used to get the Fulford Group sweatshirts. They used to work for Remax before they used to layer, and everyone had a sweatshirt. Everyone had a Remax sweatshirt, and I can tell you, I had friends whose parents were also realtors, and we had a sweatshirt competition. Me and Jen Scamperino. Bob Scamperino was an agent at Century 21. All of her friends had Century 21s. Mine all had Remax sweatshirts. And if my friends came over with their Century 21 sweatshirt, my parents were like, where did you get that sweatshirt? Take that sweatshirt off. Here's another sweatshirt. So merch is like an old school marketing tactic. And it does work. It works. And it's also an opportunity. These are all opportunities. They all work together. If I have merch, I can go and reach out to my client, do community outreach and pass out the merch. I can also do a client event. Go to a client event, you get the merch. This is all stuff that just reinforces it. Again, right back to Phil Dunphy. There's an episode where he has his little open house table and he's got the pens and these stupid little toys. Just be creative. I don't do a ton of merch. I do it personally, for my A+ clients. And it's also a reason to, if I'm doing the merch, it's to blast it out everywhere on social media. Again, to kind of tie it into tomorrow's class about new school marketing. Hey, I have CFN t-shirts. Support my business. I usually link up with someone and I plug their business too, my friend Jenna. She's like a jack of all trades. The girl's brilliant at everything. She does merch out of her own home. She has a craft room. She has like a nice t-shirt press. And of course, I plugged her business. I said, you know, thanks so much to Jenna Nuzzo for doing my t-shirt. She's excellent. You have any needs, please reach out to her. So Jenna is one of my A+ clients. If she's the kind of person that will like fist fight you if you don't use me as a realtor, she's my A+ client. She's getting all the merch. She's getting all the client events. She's getting everything. And it's also important to kind of another old school marketing tactic. It's not really a tactic, but when you're a business owner, which you are, I cannot reinforce that enough, get in touch with other business owners because you're supporting each other. No one is going to support your business like a fellow business owner because they know the work you're doing. They know how much you appreciate the business, truly, because I think people think, you know, sometimes you put yourself out there and they're like, oh, like she just wants me to buy a house. And it's like, you know, yeah, I do. I have to pay my bills. This is how I make a living. This is how I pay for my kids' school. This is how I pay to feed my family. Like, I absolutely want you to buy a home. But I'm genuinely wanting to help people because once you get out in the real estate game for a little bit, you realize not everyone should have a real estate license. So that will motivate you too when you see some of the situations that people can get in. Like, I'm genuine in my approach, and if people want to think that's just I'm a salesperson, which I've gotten, I don't really care. Again, it goes back to like, I just don't care. If that's how you feel, that's how you feel. But do you know anyone's going to buy a house? And that should be your approach. Does anyone have any questions? I kind of just like ripped through that 35 minutes. Well, I'm going to make it weird. Someone ask a question. Don't put it on Amy. She's the only one in the room. Frank, you got any questions? George, Frank, Taylor, Tatiana?
Nope.
No.
I do have one
I
question.
do have one question.
Okay.
What is the face?
The
Can I
face-
get invited to the Facebook group?
Oh, you don't, so if you go on to the dashboard, which I did share. So if you're in the coaching program, I sent out an email on Sunday night. And at the bottom of that is a business development program link. And in there, you have access to the PC dashboard. On the dashboard is the 90 days to success. It's also referenced in your binder. And through that 90 days to success, you can have, it's hyperlinked. So you can just click on the link and it'll take you right there and Ashley will add you. Does that make sense? George?
I'm looking for your email right now and I don't see it.
Oh, it's at the bottom.
Oh,
I can show you guys in group coaching.
it's the hyperlink with the business development program folder.
Yep, and that's gonna take you to the drive. That's gonna take you to the business development folder within our drive. I really just, copies are always making a mess. It's in there, and that's that, but I think that this coupled with tomorrow's class scares me. Cause it's new and I'm like just learning how to do it and it's tough. These things all come naturally to me. And if they come naturally to you, that's great. If you have to, there's also ways if you're like, I'm not like you, you know what I mean? Like, I don't like to put myself out there. I'm not trying to be talking to people. That's fine. I always go back to Jen Hamilton, my G. I like think she's like my idol. Jen is not the kind of person that wants to be up here talking to people. She's not the kind of person. She's just strictly mailing and doing community outreach. You don't need to do all of them. She tells you herself. She gives out her information like, I don't like doing open house. I'm not doing it. I don't want to do them anymore. I'm sure some of you will get to that point. I'm at that point. Mailers, community outreach, sponsorship. You don't need to be talking to anybody. You know what I mean? Because it might take a little longer, but it's consistently pushing your brand out to people that would have not otherwise seen it. We're also going to be doing a class, I forget, it's on the calendar, about the importance of branding. I can't stress that enough. I see some agents that will have like, you know, and I've cycled through in my 8 years, you know, different sorts of logos and like finding my way. But I strongly suggest you start that because if people, like I like to use the Lariano team for it, you see their logo and you know who they are. Just like anything else. We're a company that's built by agents for agents. And the whole Keller Williams philosophy is that the business rotates around the agent, and it does. So brand yourself. You are a business. If you have a sign, like it could be your face, like William Montalvo, it's her face. You know, you see her face all over her signs, you know exactly who that is. And that for brand awareness, especially where if you're like trying to become like a local agent, like a local expert agent, like there's Wendy Carpenino in Saugus. Everyone knows who she is. And she mails calendars, like another thing that Joey and Rosie do, my brother and sister-in-law, that I think is great. Every year that her clients expect the same thing. She sends out those magnet refrigerator calendar things. People look forward to it every year, especially when you have kids. It's just nice to have on your fridge. And then when she's like late mailing them, they're like, Rosie, I didn't get my thing, you know, or maybe she took them off the mailing list because she thought, oh, I haven't heard from them. I'm not going to mail them this because it costs me money. And they call, oh, Rosie, I didn't get my calendar. And that's an opportunity for her to have a conversation with somebody about real estate, or even just checking on how they're doing. Again, old school marketing, I think we call it that, because like this is a business, but it's really, again, goes back to relationship building. You're putting yourself out there so you can build more relationships. And when you're genuine in your approach and helping people, which if you're a good agent, you should be. There's no top agent that doesn't care about their clients. It's not out there. I don't care what anybody says. You care to a certain degree. You have to set boundaries for your sanity. You have to know when to like back off and know when things are a waste of your time. But if someone is a client of yours, you're looking out for their best interest. I don't care if the deal falls apart. I don't. Of course, it's frustrating, but I just did all this work and I won't get paid for it. But if it's in the best interest of my client, I don't care. You know what I mean? I've been day before closing. Again, you're going to get to know your clients on a really close level. I've been there the day before closing and had people crying, not sure if they want to buy the house. And I tell them, this is your final opportunity to leave. These are your risks associated. I will do my best to mitigate these risks as best as I can. But if you want to do it, now's the time. I don't want to sell a house that somebody doesn't want. It's also a liability to me. I don't want people thinking that I talked them into something they didn't want to do. I really think a house sells itself. You're selling your service. Like, how good am I at making this process seamless for you? And how good am I at supporting you during this super emotional process? You know, that should be the goal. And that, again, is if I had to call it old school marketing. I think tomorrow is actually, you know, this is all marketing, but the way of the future, we have to know it. Because I'm telling you, Zillow knows how to do it, Realtor knows how to do it, and they're out there and they got a lot of money. So we need to make sure that we're on their tail. Again, I don't want to live in a world where, you know, you go online, click, I bought a house. Like, I just think that's just stupid. I don't think it's going to happen, to be honest. I think that it all comes down to the relationships you build with people. But one of this misunderstandings is that your clients love you and will work with you. No, they don't. They might love you and they might wish the best for you, but they'll go with another agent. Just like I tell the story when I worked in payroll, I did real estate and payroll at the same time. I worked with this lady and I knew she wanted to sell her house. And I said, hey, you know, I printed a market analysis. I would have conversations at lunch and it always come back to real estate at some point. And if someone wanted to know the value of their home, I offered it up right away. That's another thing Jen Hamilton does. If you see all of her ads, it's free market analysis, no pressure to sell. You should never be pressuring someone to do this. I'm sorry. Like, it's a home. If this is the value, it's just sharing information. Again, this is why I always go back to you're a resource. You should be a resource to these people, and you shouldn't be making them feel bad if they don't want to do it or if they don't want to work with you. For instance, again, I'll go back to Sue. She wanted to sell her house, and I said, hey, here's your market analysis. She said, okay, great. And then she said, Sarah, I got to tell you, I love you, but I'm not going with you as an agent because I have this agent who's been mailing me stuff for 6 months, and I feel like I should really go there because she's spending time mailing me stuff. I was like, are you kidding me? Well, that's what I was thinking on the inside. But that helped me reinforce, wow, I should be doing that then. And it also, I didn't make her feel bad about it. I said, that's absolutely no problem. So this is a very, you know, personal decision. You do whatever you have to do. And because I was nice to her, she referred me her son. And I still got a transaction out of my relationship with Sue. And it is a relationship. Would you berate someone if they didn't want to do something? No, well, you shouldn't in your job either. Or you should make them feel better, you know? And you also shouldn't let people push you around either. I love Jeffrey's story of the time the guy was berating him, being super nasty to him in a listing appointment. He just closed his stuff up and walked out the door. Didn't even finish. You don't need to sit there and take people's stuff just because you're a realtor. And because of the relationship, I'm not saying that, but keep building them. Keep doing the right thing, set boundaries more importantly, because that was something that I really struggled with and still do to this day. If my client calls me at 8 or 9 o'clock, it's very hard for me to not answer the phone. It is. I just have a hard time with that. But don't be like me because you'll lose your mind. So I think that's all I got for you. I know I talk a lot, but
I got one question.
yes.
When you talk about circle prospecting, farming,
Mhm.
and say you identify a neighborhood and you're a newer agent, is it prudent to send something out in that neighborhood, introducing yourself to that neighborhood's, stating that, A, you're a realtor, B, you're an expert in the area or whatever, just to try to break the ice in a certain neighborhood, and then the next quarter send something out a little bit more strategic?
So I would not do that when it comes to farming or circle prospecting, only because the nature of people is that it goes back to the items of value. How is that valuable to them? They don't know. They don't know. Honestly, people don't know what realtors do. So that's why if you're going to be circle prospecting in an area that you don't otherwise know, and it's not someone that knows, like, okay, like George, if you were to do your community, like your sphere of influence, you could send them out a letter, be like, hey, so I'm a realtor, I'm of service to you, because they already know you. They'll read it maybe, but again, it goes back to like you should just be giving them stuff that they will read on the way to throwing it away. So that's usually like I love Jen's way of doing a market analysis. She says, I'll give you a free market analysis. That's more apt to get interaction than, oh, I'm George, I'm a realtor in the area. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, that's nice. But you want, if you do, hey, I can do something for you. You can get value out of me. I can tell you how much your house is worth. That's different. So when you're circle prospecting and doing those farming things, do like, are you going to benefit them? It's been by way of a market analysis. That's what you should be pushing.
But then you spend all this time on a market analysis and then they feel this is how much my house is worth when I put it on the market myself.
No, because you shouldn't just be like, here's how much your house is worth. A listing appointment, if you go back to my listing 101s classes, look at all these services I provide. I'm going to do professional photography. I'm going to organize all these showings. I'm going to field all your offers. I do this for a living, so I know what's a good offer, what's not. I know what the market norms are. I know how to negotiate on your behalf. I know what's acceptable and what's not acceptable for you. That's where you're getting your foot in the door. It's not like saying like, oh, I'm going to give you the value of your house, I'm going to dip. Like, you're going to have a listing appointment and you're going to be prepared for the listing appointment. And you're going to be sharing how valuable you are. That is the hardest part about being a realtor, because everybody struggles to some extent with imposter syndrome. They're like, I'm not really good enough to be doing this. I don't really know enough to be doing this. That feeling is not going to go away. It will get smaller, it will shrink, but it's not going to go away. I've been doing this for 8 years and I still get those thoughts every once in a while. So it's not something that's going to go away, and they're not going to, again, you have to be putting yourself out there. And this is another kind of like marketing thing. As part of your marketing, you want to be getting together, like you want to be running yourself like a business. So we want to be putting together marketing material that every buyer of Amy's gets this. It's going to list how valuable I am. And this is what I offer you. And these are my relationships with lenders and attorneys and tradesmen that are going to benefit you. And this is why you should go with me. And home inspectors, whatever. Same on the sell side. Like, hey, I have relationships with attorneys that can help you write the deed and run title stuff ahead of time if you want. I have, especially if it's an estate situation, like I have tradespeople. So when I'm telling you, hey, I think that we should fix this, I have somebody that I can send over and give you a quote. They don't have to pick up the phone, find somebody to do it. You're, oh, no, I already have somebody I'm gonna send over. They're not always happy with them because there's some people that are just like hard to please, and that's okay. But you want to be showing your value, and if that is also part of the marketing. You shouldn't just be showing up with like a CMA. You want to be coming with a presentation. You want to be coming with, this is the service I provide, whether that's on a screen or on a piece of paper. I know that I feel like I like the idea of the iPad, but sometimes it gets awkward. And sometimes it shuts off and then my texts are coming through and it's like, oh my God. So I am moving towards booklets. So I'll put booklets together, and that is, again, if you're coming to MREA on Fridays, we talk about Laura Stern in the last one that we watched from the spring. You should have 10 buyer packets and 10 seller packets prepared at all times. Because if you have an opportunity for a listing appointment, you just run the CMA, grab the packet, and go out the door. And that packet you should spend some time on it. Like, okay, how much value do I add? And when you're in the coaching program, that's something we're going to be working on. We're going to be heading into is it part of this module? If you look in your binder, there is a week theme that's gonna be prospecting versus marketing, because there's a difference. And part of that marketing that ties into your prospecting, we're gonna put together a seller, buyer kit, stuff like that. Just so that you have them and they're ready to go. And so and if you're on a team, for instance, if I know there's only a couple people that are on a team in the coaching program, they may have material already for you, and that's like excellent. You don't even have to think about it. They have it. And then in time, if you want to go out on your own, you've practiced the script for this team for long enough that it's easy to transfer into your own value if you want to go out on your own. I will say, as newer agents, I wouldn't recommend joining a team right away, because I would like you to find your own value. I think that I started on a team, and I love that I started on a team. I think that once you get through your first, if we didn't have a coaching program here, the first thing I would say would be like, go to a team. It's not because I run the coaching program. I don't genuinely care one way or the other, but I think that it's important that you focus on the fundamentals, because teams are breathing businesses and they don't really have the time to show you the basics and fundamentals. So you're relying on the team and you don't really have your fundamentals in place. It's going to be patchy, and that's exactly what happened to me, and that's why I speak on it that way. I picked up on some of what my parents did, but I didn't have full insight into like, what do they do with their database? What do they do with their CRM? Like, how frequently do they email people? Like, I had no idea. They showed me the trade, they showed me the skill set, which is I'm so grateful for, but I had a patchy foundation and it absolutely affected my business. So, and that's also to say that when you set these foundations in place, that's why the MREA model is the triangle of like, you need a foundation and then you throw creativity on top of it. These people already had their foundation and this is their flair of creativity. If that doesn't jive with you, you want to make sure that you're creating your own kind of way of doing things, because that's the spin. Otherwise you sound like a robot. Like one of the people in the coaching program came into my office and was like, I hate reading these scripts. I sound like a robot. And it's like, well, it's just like, use it as bullet points. Like I want to make this point, this point, this point. And talk how you talk. And if it's a call that's like a warm lead, like you don't really know, realistically, we all know we're going to be getting more no's than yeses. So keep that into consideration and practice on the no's. Like they're going to say no anyway. You can tell within the first 5 seconds. So practice your script, and once you'll find like, ooh, I got a 2-minute conversation instead of a 30-second conversation. So that definitely worked. I'm definitely doing that the next call. And then it builds and builds and builds. And that's that creativity that you find when you build your foundation. And then if you want to join a team, I like the team opportunity once you have your foundation, because they give you leads, which just gives you more skill set, so that when you get leads from your lead generating, you have the skill set to support it and go and run and build referrals that way. So that's my spiel. How'd I do? Anyone have any questions? I can't believe I haven't heard from Frank.
Oh, that was great.
Frank with a thumbs up. All right, well, we have group coaching from 1 to 2 today. I'm going to tell you guys, make sure you have your numbers ready. I sent the booklet. If you want to look, we're going to be doing 1 to 21. This is a mini business planning. So this is going to be quick, so you guys know how many appointments you need to be making per week to hit your goal. We'll do another business planning that the Market Center is going to put on, and I highly recommend going to it, even though I'm doing one with you privately, because it's usually someone who is like a mega agent or like just like absolutely crushing it. Like the first business planning clinic I did was with Karen Prawl, and I was like obsessed. I was obsessed. So you can't go to them enough. We're going to be running them every 12 weeks now. So I would do it every 12 weeks. It's just recalibrating. Okay, well, like, is this doable? Can I do the 2 appointments a week? You know what I mean? So it's just, this is something you want to be checking in. Another book recommendation, which I want to put a book list on the, in the coaching program, is the 12-week year. Every 12 week, every quarter, you should be taking a look at the year, and we'll be reinforcing that again today with our 411. So I'll see you then. Bye, buddies. Oh, not buddies. I'm not supposed to say buddies. Bye, friends.